Here are 4 moves the Lakers can make to save their lackluster title chances. Since they've essentially kept the same roster as last year, and going into last year the combination of AD, LeBron and Russ were viewed as favourites, it was clear that was wrong as they couldn't even make the play-in tournament, as well as having the 22nd worst net rating in the league and some of the worst team offensive and defensive ratings. And now it seems like they don't want to address any of the problems, so I'll do it. I should clarify, the word move doesn't directly mean I'm going to provide a trade suggestion, but only in specific instances. I know it sounds crazy, a trade suggestion video with no trades, but that's not what I mean. I may simply address a problem on the team and may not offer a direct solution. Because saying something like fire the coach would then make me go find a coach that either has minimal NBA experience or promote someone that we've never seen coach, i.e. Steve Nash, which I do not have the mental capacity or acuity to do. With all that out of the way, we begin. First, the ball handler, or should I say the point guard. The role of the point guard is to bring the ball up the court and have the offensive set run through him. Although the set might not be run for him, it still has to be run through him. This includes moving off ball, facilitating where players and the ball should be, etc, etc. Enter Russell Westbrook III. Russell Westbrook throughout his career has generally excelled at fulfilling his role as a point guard and then some, showing that he has the ability to lead teams by himself effectively and has even shown some ability to lead teams alongside other star players. So when he joined 2 of the best players in the NBA on one team, we believe that he continues to fill his role and ultimately improve his performance and the team alongside the other stars. He's never been a good or consistent shooter from beyond the arc, so there were concerns about the floor spacing on a team that already lacked it, but we thought that the value he provided would carry the team over that hump, especially if the management filled out the team correctly. Fast forward to the 5th of April 2022 and the Lakers are eliminated from playoff contention. And though the blame should be shared throughout the players, the management, the staff, and the organisation as a whole, Russ Westbrook's share of the blame was documented and highlighted throughout the entire season, and to an extent it was warranted. I don't agree with people like Skip Bayless who are attacking his character and overall manhood, however no one respects Skip anyway. But I do agree, he held a heavy portion of the Lakers' failures. The aspects Russ was supposed to provide was basically everything but floor spacing. He was meant to provide the 3 main aspects of interior scoring, playmaking, and guard defense. Defensively, he had his worst season yet. He was renowned as being one of the best defensive guards in the league. Before joining the Lakers, he had a defensive rating of 105. The average defensive rating is 107 and he's 4 inches shorter. Now, he just recorded his worst defensive rating yet, as well as most of his defensive stats decreasing. Excluding blocks, on a year-by-year basis from his MVP season, they're essentially always dropped, every year. In terms of playmaking and overall running the offense, we should expect playing alongside LeBron James, his overall usage rate and stat was slightly decreased, but the manner in which he couldn't function in his role was appalling. His assists were the lowest they've been, and though his turnovers were subsequently the lowest they've been as well, relative to the amount of assists he was dropping, it wasn't an improvement. In terms of overall offensive production, he dropped significantly. His scoring dropped, his assist dropped, his PER dropped, his plus minus dropped. He simply hurt the team on the offensive and defensive end. To improve, they need to address aspects that affect him the most. They need a point guard of some form of floor spacing, playmaking, and hopefully guard defense. And though a player like that is an all-star caliber player, since there's 2 MVP caliber players on the team, they don't need an all-star caliber version of that player. Just someone who can do their job coherently. They attempted to solve this issue with a Kyrie trade, and though many people suggested trades from YouTubers to analysts, without AD, a trade was unlikely to happen, and trading AD would probably create more problems than solutions, especially with that supporting cast. And B, the Nets had the leverage in that situation. And with AD injured, they stand a better chance with KD and Kyrie rather than KD, AD and possibly Russ, especially with KD's last stink over postseason. Austin Reeves seems like a viable option to play as guard, but he's more of a 2 guard and his playmaking doesn't seem like a viable option as a secondary playmaker. As well as shooting poorly from behind the arc, he'd have to make major improvements to provide any viable way of helping the team. This clip sums up Pat Bev perfectly. He's an average player with average playmaking, average rebounding, average scoring, and slightly above average defense. All he does is literally mouth off and basically do nothing for the team. Although this may seem controversial, I believe Dennis Schroeder would be a great option for the team. He's available coming off his 1-year deal with the Celtics. His production stays relatively consistent throughout the years and provides what the team needs to an extent which can address some of the issues. He shoots around league average on low attempts from 3, so while he isn't Steph Curry, you can't leave him open. In terms of playmaking, he's consistently averaged 6 assists and averages 5 assists for his career and has solid defensive prowess. Goran Dragic also fits this role almost perfectly, but he's in the twilight of his career and can retire any moment, meaning the Lakers could use Dennis as some form of consistency outside of LeBron and AD. Anthony Davis cannot stay healthy, so instead of praying that he does, you use a contingency so that if he does get injured, it doesn't hurt the team as much. It's simple maths. Anthony Davis is one of the best players in the world and a top 10 player when he's healthy, but that's the thing. he's never healthy. I've said this before, but for 2 seasons he's not been able to play above 40 games, and throughout his career he's hovering around the 60 games mark. Throughout the seasons he's averaged 23, 10 and 3 on 2 blocks and a steal. Though he struggled this year, he has the ability to space the floor like a guard and create his own offense while consistently being a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. So paired alongside 6'9" LeBron James, who can also create his own offense, defend every position and play makes on an elite level, it shows why when healthy they managed to get a ring in their first year together. But since then, what have they accomplished? They got bounced out the first round because they had to play the 1 seed as the 8 seed because AD only managed to play 36 games in the regular season and then got re-injured in game 3. The next season he only played 40 games. So once again, due to injuries and other factors I'm trying to rectify in this video, they couldn't even make the playoffs. The consistent factor is injuries for AD. With that, I believe the Lakers should find a consistent power forward / center, specifically someone who can fit the role similar to AD. Last year they had some form of this in Trevor Ariza, but he didn't pan out because he sucked. The closest thing to this right now is Paul Millsap, but his floor spacing and overall value has dropped off. He could still fit on the team and do some solid backup work, but alternatively, you could fill the team with multiple different players that collectively fill AD's role. For example, you can get Joe Ingles for floor spacing and then get Stein Johnson to play defense. If they were willing, they could get slow-mo, but that's doubtful. So Paul Millsap is the best option for the team if they're not looking to spend big bucks. But it's vital that they get a replacement for AD if they're looking to win. When AD isn't there, the team looks naked. And with LeBron getting older and Russ not being helpful, AD is needed, as without him, the team stands no chance of being successful. And that leads into my next point. The key to any major success in the team is depth. Once you get past the 2 or maybe 3 superstars, what carries the team to victory? Depth. You can't win on 3 players alone. For example, look at the Clippers. They have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George leading the charge. But behind that, when the 2 players are injured, the team only just misses out on the playoffs. Similar to Golden State, you have Jordan Poole, James Wiseman and other quality players. They function mainly as a machine, so when a piece is out they end up with a top pick in the draft, but when they're functioning together, they win championships. Back to the Lakers, they've consistently had a weaker supporting cast. In 2019 they had multiple developing young players and experienced older veterans, and as previously mentioned, no one got real time, so when the star got injured, they significantly dropped and couldn't recover enough to make the playoffs. The next season was a great supporting cast. They had great defenders at each position, and on offense, even though the stars were the focal point, you had Danny Green, playoff Rondon, and other supporting pieces to diversify the offense, and they ended up winning a championship. The next season, oddly enough, they had a better supporting cast and were very much clear favourites. They had Dennis Schroeder, KCP, LBJ, AD, as well as Marc Gasol, Montrezl Harrell, Marcus Morris, Kyle Kuzma, Ben McLemore, and overall a deep cast, which should have put them over most teams. But the players didn't perform and injuries couldn't help them, so when they got to the playoffs, they got bounced out the first round by the Suns. And now it shows even more. When the stars can't play together, the team can't operate as a unit. They switch up the roster every year, every second they get, and they need to find some form of consistency. I believe they should construct a team that complements the stars nicely, while being able to simultaneously play and have some coherence without them. In the 2021 season, they seemed to have this, and although it didn't work out, the setup was perfect. They constructed a team of borderline all-stars and players who could effectively play the role, and that would perfectly suit the 2 stars to get them over any hump. The problem is, the front office doesn't consider the issues that hold the team back when making decisions in the off-season. They don't see how the players they pick up can be used in the team's system and believe way too much in their development team, because they continuously misutilize the pieces they acquire. So the next change I think is needed is in the front office. The front office needs to develop 2 things, a backbone and some sense. The team was not and currently is not optimized to help the stars win a championship. Assuming you keep Russell Westbrook, and I'm praying you don't, but assuming you keep Russell Westbrook, how do you believe he's going to change his ways in the off-season to become a useful piece? The overall construction of the team doesn't favour the driving factors that are leading the team to success. The stars. Yes, this ties into depth, however I want to address a specific problem in the front office. As previously mentioned, you have to accommodate the people leading you to victory, in this case LeBron and AD. Russ is the third option, but he'd be an accommodating piece to AD and LeBron, similar to how John Wall complements Kawhi and PG. For as much as you want to say the GM constructs a team and the amount of influence he has on the team, he still is a player, and if he's making terrible decisions for the team and they're allowing it, A, they have a responsibility to negate a decision and get some backbone to go over LeBron and do their jobs, or B, they're so incompetent and after years of experiencing a terrible team, they haven't the capacity to improve or figure out how to. Look at the young pieces. Most players drafted to the Lakers are solid contributors on different teams, yet when they're on the Lakers, even before LeBron joined, they were trash. The most noticeable is Lonzo Ball. He came in as a number 2 pick and people called him a bust and a glorified Ben Simmons. Yet when he left the Lakers, he's now one of the most consistent and well-rounded players in the entire NBA. And since that goes for most young players that left the org, the common denominator for when they're failing is the Lakers organization. For a more current scenario, since they've signed Russell Westbrook on August 6, 2021, with the roster they had at the time, floor spacing was a major concern. Since his signing, they've signed 20 players who have subsequently come and gone, but the concern is practically none of them addressed the floor spacing issue. On paper some did, sure, but it seems like there's something in the Lakers Gatorade bottle or something, because as soon as you arrive on that side of LA, you lose all competency in basketball and shooting. Monk was probably the best selection as he showed promise in floor spacing and on-ball shot creation, but the coaching staff couldn't decide whether to start him or 38-year-old Carmelo Anthony, which I've talked about many times. The front office needs major changes. They construct teams that neither on paper or in actuality will work and then try to be title contenders, which is egregious behaviour. Unlike last year where players simply underperformed relative to their standards, this team was never going to work with the piece they put around the people. The key issue of this trio is Russ's floor spacing. As I said, they had Malik Monk, who is a good jump shooter, but even he's inconsistent. As well as Carmelo being far at his prime, and then just randomly throwing in Kendrick Nunn, it goes back to the organisation not knowing how to find a balance between young and old players. I don't know what goes into making a front office decision, but they're wishy-washy how they choose to construct their teams. 2021 was a great team that underperformed, but 2022 was horrible with higher expectations. The championship team was cool, but the bubble allegedly gave everyone an attribute boost and let everyone rest up for 118 days, which contributed massively, especially to certain players. The front office needs to improve their decision-making skills as well as their analytical skills, so they can make better decisions and simply learn how to say no to players' requests. If they want a chance to win a title anyway. But if you want to see who I think will win the title, click this video here. Thank you. If you like the video, like the video. If you don't. Subscribe if you want, and I'm done. Okay, bye.